Lucky Benedict Show. Thank you so much for being here, and we have a very good show for you tonight. In fact, you may have seen me on their show. The Paranormal Sisterhood ladies are here. The Paranormal Sisterhood sisters are here. Yay! We're so happy to have you on here, you girls.
We're glad to be here.
Yeah. Yay. And then we've got your one sister, so we want to send our big hugs out to Sarah, who can't be here tonight because she's just not feeling well. So we want to send lots of prayers to Zoom right straight to Sarah to hope that she'll be feeling better very soon. Yeah. But I'm so glad that you all could be here. And it sounds to me like you all have had quite an, a interesting week and day already, and I appreciate you all making the effort to be here on the show.
Well, we are just we're just enjoying it, and we enjoyed having you on so much, and I'm excited to be on your show.
I know. Well, yeah, so this is awesome. So I'll just say a little bit and then we'll get started. So everyone that is watching, the Paranormal Sisterhood are real sisters, and there's 4 of you. So we've got Mary, we've got Sylvia, we've got Sandy, and we got Mary, Sylvia, Sandy, and then we got Sarah. Did I leave somebody out? Did I get everybody? Yeah, I got everybody. Right. Okay. And so so you girls are all sisters, but you're not just sisters, you're all paranormal investigators and work together on different things, which I think is amazing, by the way. So but from what I could gather, each one of you is very unique. You're all different and you're all unique. So you all bring something to the table when you go to do your work together. Yes. I think when I was on with you, we were kind of discussed a little bit of that. So maybe as we get going, we could talk about the unique qualities about what each of you are and have. But if whoever wants to talk first and just kind of tell everybody a little bit about, let's just start with your show. Like, why did you just decide to do the Paranormal Sisterhood show? Like, what's your loved for doing that, and why would you want to do that show?
Well, I really believe that women need to be empowered, but they need to be lifted up. And we want other women to see our show and to be lifted up in whatever gifting they might have or whatever they're going through. So it really is about, women supporting women and in whatever way of life that they're in. Kind of a judgment-free zone, but in my life, I have had some amazing women, and then I've had some that were injured, were damaged, and in turn, they damaged other people. Right. So my view of it, and then Sandy can speak to hers and Sylvia to hers, is that we're to support each other, and we love investigating. I'm going to let Sandy talk a little more about that, but we love investigations. We love investigating. We've done 2 investigations since you were on our show. Wow. with some really good results. I'm going to pass that on and let the other girls talk about what the sisterhood means to them.
Okay. And I will say, I see Sarah is messaging on the chat. So we are sending a hi out to Sarah. And Sarah, I'm on my phone tonight, so I can see a little bit, but I just want you to know I do see it, and acknowledging the people on the chat, Sarah. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, girls.
Sylvia, you want to go?
Sure. Yeah. I come into it with kind of a different perspective. I don't know that, well, I know I don't have the gifts that Sarah has, or Mary or Sandy. That's something that by association I'm trying to develop. I went into this really, I come from a very deep faith background, and I kind of feel like all of this kind of goes hand in hand. And so for me, this was just another part of it that I hadn't really explored before. And I thought it would be interesting to do it, and to do it with people that I love and respect. I mean, you couldn't ask for more than that. So I'm fairly new to the group. I only went out on one of the investigations. The second one they did, which I missed, I was not able to go. But I'm hoping to get more and more involved in this, and just by seeing some of the other people we've had on on the show that we do, and some of the investigations they've done, and some of their experiences, plus what I've learned from these ladies, it just sounds like a good place that I need to be in my life.
Oh,
So
very good.
that's kind of why I'm in this.
That's awesome. That's very awesome. And you know, the more Sylvia, the more you are in this type of thing, the more your gifts do grow. So won't be long. You'll be, you know, like probably zooming with abilities. So that's awesome. Okay, keep going. What else we got here?
Okay, Miss.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so mine is short and sweet. All I do is send them over. All I do is cleanse. They hunt and bring them out, and I just help them over. That's really all I do. I help find them, but I like being outside and on the grounds, and then I move inside. And that's pretty much all I do, isn't it? I mean, I just help them pass. They don't always want to, they don't have to. And the decision is theirs to move on, but we have not ever not had a unsuccessful cleansing, have we?
No.
We have one that's outstanding, a friend of mine going through a bad time. We cleansed her land, and come to find out it wasn't a square that we did. I did it with Mary and Melanie, another really sees white and dark, really pretty heavy that it scares her so much. And she couldn't get anything to grow going out the gate after we cleansed her property, her home, and all of that. She called me 2 weeks later and said, "You got to make it stop." Because it was overwhelmingly turning into lush, beautiful land.
Wow.
Yeah. So we hugged the tree that she was having a problem with, and that's bigger, badder than ever. And I have pictures of the cryptids that left of the surrounding areas. Just amazing. Big birds in the trees. You could see directly through them. Triceratops, frogs, 10-foot frogs. And I send all of this. I don't debunk by myself. If I think I see it, I send it out to the girls, and I'm like, "Tell me what you see." And I don't tell them where it's at or what what it is. Sometimes I circle it. If they can't see it, I'll go back and circle it for them. But we don't make it up. We have the receipts that show what we have done.
Wow.
Sandy is kind of the team photographer. Whatever event we're doing, if we're just going to lunch, she films everything. And many times she goes back and does reviews of all of the film and the footage and that type thing. And if she finds things, she sends it out. What do you girls see? Tell me, what you see. And I was telling you, Mercedes, about the other night coming home. I mean, it went well. The investigation went well. We're actually going to go back and do a cleansing of the land for the couple that we were at their home. And I was so excited. I was ready to get home, and I did not put fuel in my car. And this is really paranormal. What happens is it's strikingly wonderful, the gift that Sarah has. And I'm going to tell you why. So she would not leave me stranded on the side of the road. I ran out of fuel on I-10, our interstate that comes, where we travel. And she would not leave me. And we waited a couple of hours. It was an adventure just waiting with her. But we finally got to our little restaurant that we were at, and we were going to have coffee. It was late. I mean, so we were talking about the case. My husband was actually there. And before we left, Sarah looked at me and she said, "Be careful of the deer when you go home."
Wow.
Well, I thought, oh, okay. So I told my husband, I said, "Be careful of the deer. He's in one vehicle, I'm in the other." I said, "Sarah said, be careful of the deer. We better look." We were about 2 miles from where our RV is, and we came across a bridge, and there was not one deer. There was a herd of deer. And if one of those deer had gotten spooked, it would have, I don't know what would have happened, because there were so many of them.
Yeah.
Now, if it had been one deer, I wouldn't have thought, oh, well, she was getting a message about one deer. No, it was a herd of deer. That's really different, because that was not something that she would say, "Look out for the deer."
Yeah.
You know?
So you could have been driving on that area and then they got spooked. They could have just got upset and ran and
Absolutely.
all
And,
kinds of
and caused an accident or whatever. So her giftings are very much, you know, preemptive, you know, and they work even when she doesn't realize they're working a lot of time. So,
wow.
Right. She
and
says things under her breath
yeah,
that she just speaks,
yeah.
and we're picking up on it. We're like, okay,
But we
Sarah
can,
said something. What'd she say?
right.
She doesn't. She just speaks it like,
And
normal.
I'm more the observer of the group. When I go in, I'm very quiet. I usually sit very quietly and just observe. I can read a room. I did it in business for 40 years, and I can read a room, and the intuitiveness of that kind of, it just, you know, it helps when you go in and you can see the distress, you know. And so I prefer to take a softer tact, and particularly with people who have had alarming things happen in their homes, and you go in and you want to take more of a tact of not, you know, you might feel inside, charge, let's do this, let's take, you know, but you can't do that, because this is their lives, this is their home, this is the place that they dwell, and they may be upset about things that are happening. But we did some great things. You know, we went in and they talked about some cabinets that just stood open. So I went, made sure that they were level. I told them, I said, my husband's a contractor, so I had to make sure that they were level, that it wasn't something, you know, because I kind of follow Occam's razor with, you know, the simplest answer most likely is the answer. And so it wasn't that. We literally identified that most likely something would have had to physically open the cabinet. So, you know, I think that there is some activity there, and that's why they requested that we come back and cleanse their property and cleanse their land. So
you just went in and just did a observation on this
pretty
one.
much.
Yeah.
Sarah did some counseling with them. She had received some messages for them, and she did some counseling with them, and set their minds at ease about some people who had passed and some people who were still here. And one of the young women in the house was almost ready to deliver a baby. And so we just talked with them and talked about what's going to happen in the next few days. And they were saying, we want the baby born on a certain date, and, you know, not on a different date. And so I said, well, the full moon will tell the tale of this, you know, because our bodies are 98% water, you know, or 96 point something percent water. And I said, the baby will probably be born the 23rd, the 24th, or the 25th, when the pull is the greatest on the body. So I'm very much a realist. I think nutrition is what my degree is in. And right now I'm going back to school to study theology. So it's, you know, but our investigations are amazing. The one prior to that, we went in and set the family's mind at ease. They were moving out of their home because of activity, but we really minded at ease with all of it and did some counseling. Was there activity? Yes, there was. We saw some activity there. But if you can go in and say, It could be this, or it could be this. It could be residual. We're energy. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. Energy is energy. It just changes forms. And so we had the best time. It was really good. But just to bring comfort to that family was amazing.
Oh, I thank you on behalf of every family that needs that, and every person that needs that, because I remember, just that lone, that feeling of like people, people thought I was crazy, or people would say that, like, I'm like, I'm not crazy. I know what's going on here. So but that feeling of being like, there's really nobody that understands there, luckily I had people that did, some of them, but I think for a lot of people are not, there is a wall up to people that have experiences. And
Yes.
so for you ladies, to all come together like that to help everybody, to help these people, and it sounds like you do an amazing job. All of you are very gifted.
Well, and we do things very differently. We do different types of blessings, and then we do prayer. I'm a firm believer in prayer. I have,
Yeah.
that is my background, and
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in prayer. But people do, they want, if you go in and immediately say, we believe you, you don't have to prove anything to us. Just let us stay here, look, observe, but we believe you. We do, because for what purpose would somebody do that? Now, I do know that there are people that would, for profit, money, whatever. But for the most part, no. For the most part, people that say that, they're really taking their reputations, maybe their careers, and they're putting it out there and saying, look, I'm having activity in my home. I'm having doors open,
It scares them.
or I'm seeing children, or I'm seeing this person, or I'm seeing things on my land. And so, yeah, but it's a great, it's more of a call for me. It's more of like a calling, a spiritual calling for me. And and I don't talk this much. So this is really odd for me. It's really odd for me to talk this much.
You're good. You're very good.
You're doing
Nobody believes
amazing.
Sarah who?
And I do have to say that I definitely know that Sylvia started a brand new job this week, and so she's very, very tired, but she still made it here. And congratulations on your new job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Sandy, you just let's see, Sandy, what happened to your day?
My sweetheart, we're fixing up his boat. So I just do, I have grandkids. And so I just, whatever, when they call, I just go in different directions. I mean, so
Yeah.
I'm retired. So I just.
Oh, nice. Well, so that's a good thing. Yay.
I
But
told
you know
Sandy.
what? And so, like, what I want to kind of go back to, I think you should definitely have that amazing guy that I had on my show. Lee Hample. Lee Hample. That's, I think Sarah had watched that show. And because Lee has all of this evidence on the cryptids, and filming of them on the property, which was, I first met him, saw him on Small Town Monsters, the Bray Road Beast. And so what's amazing is that you see the fact that you can see the pterodactyls, or you see these things that you're seeing. And so do you see them like in the like when you get there, like see them?
No, only in the picture. After we take the picture. And then after we take the picture, you have to wait a little bit because the camera won't focus right away. Me and Mary did a corner piece of land just driving by. That is, I don't know what that was. That was like a haunted home, remember? And
Native
somebody else
American,
had bought it.
Native American, and it had been investigated many times by different groups. But
we got cryptids in the trees, in the camper, the faces. I mean, what didn't we get?
Right.
And it shows up on camera after I take it. I can't see like they can. I can only hear and feel, but and I don't take it seriously because I mean, I love the afterlife. So, and I don't get scared like I have that one time me and Mary did the mirror door. Right. Because I like to go in. I don't like to do, I don't know anything about it. I don't care about it. I just want to do the land, go in, start finding some stuff. I can't slow down.
We actually were doing a bed and breakfast in Brooksville, Florida, that is now a private home.
Mhm.
We were the last investigative team to do this house before it was sold. And we actually found within that house that we believe that the neighbor who really loved the house and wanted to buy it, but did not want to pay the owner the money, we really feel that he was astral projecting himself into the home and causing things to happen. And that was when we talked to the owner, she was telling us about this neighbor. Well, we had already gotten the name Sarah. We called her. She was camping with Sylvia. And Sandy and I were in Brooksville, and we called Sarah at 3 a.m. because we had lights.
We text her. Yeah.
Text her, right? And we had lights. We were sitting in this huge dining room, and every light in the house stayed on except where we were at, that room. And it literally would have taken a physical touch to the light switch to turn the light out. And the light went out, and I looked at Sandy and I'm like, what are you doing? Why'd you do that? And she said, I said, oh, you're going to have to turn that back on. So she got up and turned the light back on. But the owner told us she would not discuss the house standing in the house or on the property because she was selling the house. And she said that the house would be very upset with her if she talked about selling the house.
That was crazy.
She had, in this home were no pictures of people. It was only pictures of other houses. It was the strangest thing. It was like the house was keeping pictures of other houses in the house. But there was a second floor landing, and we called Sarah, and she said, oh yeah, she said, it's John and it's Ann. So we had the history book of the house, and we're trying to find John and Ann. We're looking for John and Ann. Come to find out, John and Ann were the neighbors that were obsessed with the house.
Oh my God.
Across the street. And
yeah. It did not stop there. Months later, when my husband and I visited there before the house was sold, we passed, and the guy was in the same position he was in when Sandy and I were there. He was out front looking at the house. So, I mean, he was obsessed. So we believe.
Tell her about the mirrors, because I couldn't even sleep in. I paid for a room I couldn't sleep in.
Right.
Let's face it, though. I mean, he probably was possessed by the spirits that are there, trying to make sure that you got that house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I think the house possessed him.
And that's what I mean. Yeah. The whole thing was
And so when we talked to the owner, she's like, no, we have to go off the property before I can even talk with you guys. And she was deadly serious. And she was totally.
She walked us off the property. We had no control.
No, she was like, and then she told us, and this was after we had done the investigation. Mine and Sandy's equipment and suitcases laid in the living room floor just about the entire investigation, because we went right straight into it. We had the house to ourselves. And at one point there were cars driving super slow. And you could tell these people were looking at this house. And Sandy said, I wonder why they're doing that. I said, well, we don't know what they're seeing in the windows of this house.
Oh, God.
I mean, the house, it was very active. And I just hope that the woman that is now the owner of that house is protecting herself spiritually, and but
unless John's harassing her.
Right, exactly, because he did the other two owners. He kind of harassed them. But
so, Mercedes, about the mirrors how do you say that, Mary? That align, like.
Now
well, we had to remove, we made mistakes with our mirrors, but if I realized also that if one mirror was on a wall over on close to the other one, It was like a trans.
Well, these were three.
You know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You know, it creates, I cannot think of the word in my mind, but it creates that,
Well,
Passageway.
it was triangle.
I'm sorry, Mercedes, I didn't hear you.
Passageway.
Yeah,
Triangle?
it's like a passageway, but there's a word for it, and it's slipping me. When I remember it, though, I will yell it out. But it's and it does that. Mirrors do that. Mirrors close together. Mirrors facing each other. All of that. I did a hotel years ago, and throughout the whole hotel, the mirrors faced each other. In fact, we just got news today. It's a historic hotel in the city that my husband is from, and they're closing it. It was built in 1926, and I have had spiritual dreams about that hotel since I was in my 30s. And I actually caught some of the best evidence I have ever caught at that hotel. As I approached, I was videotaping, and I was wearing jeans and a shirt, and my image in the glass, the leaded glass that's in that hotel, changed, and I was wearing a ball gown. And you can see the skirt of the dress blowing in the video I have.
Whoa, I'd love to see. Wow.
I will send it to you.
I know that's possible because in the things that we've experienced, like I would take a picture of, it was an antique furniture that was given to us from his family, and we just so happened to have taken a picture of the, look, I'd taken a picture of it, but in the mirror was this black thing, and it just like the energy just came out. So then it's like it just made it almost. Then it started to almost like grab Joe's heart. So it was whatever that it almost was like. I don't, if that was like during some really bad times, but it was. One of the things that happened badly was we had another big mirror, and instead we were so upset that we took it out, and there was a big trough, like a big watering cattle trough that was here when I first got here, and he took that mirror and smashed it all into this cattle trough. And it just made it worse. Like we just had worse activity. So then the medicine man guy came out, and he goes, he didn't know that we had done that. We didn't tell him. And so he starts heading out there. What happened over here? Because all the mirror was smashed.
Oh, crap.
So it's like it multiplied stuff. I know people probably like, what are they talking about? But it's what happened. And then I went into research. I went into all about what about mirrors and stuff. So I'm totally with what you're saying here. I totally understand what you're saying.
And I just remembered the word.
Okay.
Psychomantium.
Whoa.
It creates a psychomantium, the mirrors.
A psychomantium?
Psychomantium is what it's called.
And you know what? Think about that. Like a lot of probably hotels or different places, as you're walking down the hotel, they have mirror, and then they have a mirror, and they have a mirror. I think, maybe they align like that, I mean, you know what I mean? Even picture frames,
right?
Glass picture frames could even do something like that.
Yep. It creates a portal. And, some people even practice that, like sitting in a dark room with a mirror and all of that. I am not a proponent of practicing that, but
No.
But people just want to experience it. We've got somebody looks like on chat. I think it's Linda or Lydia. Do y'all see it? And
she's Linda, and she is saying that her heart is breaking over it because that is the hotel in the city that my husband is from, that they're selling the hotel. And so my heart is broken. I have been so in love with this place, as I said, since I was in my 30s. It was really strange. The night before I caught the video of my clothes and everything changing from jeans and a shirt to this dress and this ball gown, I dreamt of being in that hotel and being chased by a sea captain. And it was the strangest dream. And the next day I told my husband about it. And when I went into the hotel, I knew where everything was in that hotel. I knew where I saw this man hiding in my dream. It was there, this hallway, this back hallway. Maybe I traveled, I don't know, and saw this. but it was
Yeah,
the
it's a
strangest
different
thing, and
method.
I've always been drawn to it. And they're selling it. It's historical. Like I said, it was built in 1926. Al Capone and his gang used to summer there. Babe Ruth stayed there. Carol Lombard and Clark Gable stayed there.
Oh,
Beautiful
Well, maybe
hotel.
they'll sell it to somebody that's going to take good care of it.
yeah.
I hope so, because and I'm hoping to get down there and do a last investigation if they do something different with the hotel. But it was built, like I said, in 1926. My father-in-law sat on the top of that building as a 10-year-old and watched the V-Day parade. So much history, so much energy, and but it was quite, like I said, I've just been, and so yes, it's breaking my heart too, Linda.
Hmm.
Well,
the only
let's hope. Hopefully they'll sell it to somebody that's gonna actually work with trying to keep that history. I bet you they do. I have a good feeling about it.
they
Good.
should just make it a historical landmark if they
Well,
do.
Right.
and it was
Right?
the state college, the community college bought it and turned it into a culinary dormitory, and so they have the restaurant in that hotel has been in constant operation since 1926.
Wow.
And
That's
so it's an amazing place. I just saw Richard Johnson pop in. Hey, Richard.
Hey, Richard.
The-
You know what? Well, talk to me a little bit about when did I know there's all of you here, but when did your gifts start? Did you always have these gifts since little, or did they just kind of, like Sylvia was saying, she doesn't feel like she has, a great amount of that yet, but maybe there was some things that you experienced as a child.
I don't know
Sandy?
time
Sil-
I've ever experienced anything even close to what I would call paranormal. I was living in Alabama, and I had rented an old house. I love old houses. I always have loved old houses. And this was an old shotgun house where it has a long hallway going down the middle of it, and then all the rooms feed off the hallway, the bedrooms and stuff. And then they had added on an addition in the back. And the house was originally built in the late 1800s.
Wow.
And the lady that had lived in that house passed away, and her family rented the house to me, but they didn't want to take all the antiques out of the house yet. So all these antiques were in the house.
Hmm.
So while I hadn't even moved in yet, a friend of mine and I were over there just cleaning. We were just cleaning, getting it ready because it had not been lived in for a long time. And things would happen like we were in the kitchen cleaning and we were playing the stereo, which was in another room, and the stereo changed channels, changed stations.
Yeah.
So my friend and I were like, okay. So we went back in, we put it back on the station it was on, and went back into the kitchen, and it happened again. Then after we moved in, I'd get up sometimes in the morning and pictures would be crooked because there were pictures of the lady that had lived there and her husband, and the pictures would be crooked in the morning. But the main thing that happened that was so real to me was my bedroom was in the front of the house, and it had a big porch with the columns and stuff on it, like kind of Southern
Wow.
Bellum homes do.
Sounds
It
beautiful.
was
Mm-hmm.
Brick steps going up to the porch. And I was laying in bed trying to go to sleep, and I heard footsteps. I heard someone coming up the brick steps and onto the porch and walking around. And I got up and went out there, and there was no one there. There was no one around the house, nothing. So I did experience that, but I didn't have anyone with me, and didn't know what to do with it after I experienced it. But I did have that experience in that old house.
And you ended up living there?
Excuse me?
You ended up living there for a long
Yeah, I
time?
lived there for about 2 years, and then they eventually found a buyer for the home.
Oh.
Um, and it was wonderful. They let us live there for free,
Oh.
which yeah, it was.
Wow.
They
Probably
kind of
because it was so haunted.
well, no, their whole thing was if nobody's in a house, then the house will die. It will start to break down.
Oh,
So
right.
So I was kind of just living there, helping to upkeep it, make sure there was heat running, the water was everything was supposed to be working properly. But there was definitely some history to that house and some activity connected to that house.
Did it have a big tree on the outside of that area that you were talking about? Was there like
It
a big
trees
tree?
around it. It had huge magnolia trees.
Yeah,
All
because I just
Big.
see like this big tree like out there, and yeah, like a lot of people just like walking, like or just like it was a house that like a lot of people would come to or something.
I
In
mean,
those times, it just feels like that. I don't know. You guys probably are you guys are like me. Like it's like you pick up these things too, so it's neat to be able to converse with you. This is
it was
awesome.
that was an
Well,
interesting time.
That's so
well,
strange because we actually took a trip to where Sylvia's from to see this, and so we saw the house. And when you said, "Was there a tree?" I'm like, "There was a huge tree right
Yeah.
outside
Yeah.
there." I'm like, "Wow."
oh yeah,
So
like a big tree. Like we
yeah,
don't have that. We have trees here, but not like that tree. you know.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Huge
let's see,
magnolia.
who was talking about how there was oh yeah, then there was no plants. So that's what happened here. So you guys just had that investigation where the lady was saying that like, the everything's growing
Oh,
in
Paula,
your
yeah,
house
It's
yeah.
been
and
yeah.
the outside. That's I don't know if I mentioned that last time, but that's one of the things that, this I could not grow a garden. I couldn't, I mean, nothing would grow. And then I remember people would say, "Gosh, it's so dead out here." Like there was no, we had our dogs and stuff, but there were no bunny rabbits. There were no real birds or nothing. It was just like stark. And it wasn't long after that, the first deliverance or first exorcism, however we want to call it, that it did. I immediately, I think it was, so when was that? So it was spring, but that was the first spring that I grew a garden. And I didn't just grow a garden. I called it like the biggest garden of ever. In fact,
Wow,
I made so much produce that I gave it away, or I took donations to give to animal charities
that's so good.
because I had so much.
Wow.
So
So I
good.
totally understand. I think that the ground, I mean, can y'all explain, any one of you explain your theory on that? I mean, how, I understand it, but what would you say happens? What do you say happens to the nutrients of the ground, or why would a garden not grow? Would you care to describe that to those that are listening? Your thoughts on it?
Well, I can
That's a good
say,
one,
Go ahead,
huh?
Sandy.
I can say that, it's been abused so many times and years, and residual. And once trauma kind of gets in the land, you can help remove that. And you don't need someone like us. You can do it yourself. You don't need the sage or the river rock, or sometimes we use whiskey, or the crystals. You can bless your own land. And that's all it needs. It just needs a love, a touch. When we hugged that tree, because Paula said, "I'm not happy with the tree, and it seems like I'm going to have to cut it down." I said, going out, we all grabbed it and hugged it, and now it's it's lush. And I sent a picture of the house just recently to you guys. Remember her front was by the horses was
Right.
all dead. And it just is, it's just easy to do. It's easy to do. Spirit doesn't want or doesn't know how to leave the earth plane and go to the other earth planes if they're scared or they've done something bad and they think they're going to be punished. You're going to be punished by yourself when you get across, and then you're going to have that judgment on yourself. It's not by um, um, shoot, how do you say, peers. It's what you've done leads to your karma when you go, and
Right.
it can be blessed. God's not gonna not bless you. He's gonna fix you, but It's
Right.
easy to cleanse.
It's so funny because I told Paula that day, and I told Sandy I felt so weird saying it because I mean I'm kind of a tree hugger too. So, and I felt really strange telling this woman I didn't know. I said, "You have a very unhappy tree in your
Yeah,
yard." She said, "What?" I said, "It's that tree."
that's
And
exactly right. She didn't tell us at first. That's right.
I told her, I said, "You have a
That's
very
right.
unhappy tree." And so that was amazing. It was amazing to see that. We also had something very similar to that, and I wish that Sarah had felt well enough, because there's a great story about Sicily Island, Louisiana, that it was an amazing investigation that we did there. And it was that was when it was just Sandy, Sarah, myself, and Sandy. But it was one that Amy Allen and Steve Dushavy did.
Okay.
And did not do what needed to be done. And little old us, little old nobody sisterhood comes in, and we actually cleansed the land. The next day, the owner said the birds came back, the squirrels came back, they had peace in the home. And we did a lot of things. That was the first time I ever saw a white sage stick explode.
That's the first time it's ever done that. So that's how you know you're successful in cleansing, when it appears immediately.
We did the four corners of the property. We did use, different items, stones, and tobacco, rum,
My river rock.
and some sacred items as well. That's my thing, my sacred items. And when Sandy was carrying the sage and we were all walking behind her, when we got to the first corner, which was also the fourth corner, we watched that sage stick just explode like a star.
Wow.
And I said, we felt right then that it was sealed, that property had been sealed from whatever was there.
It was great.
It was really amazing.
Yeah.
I wish, like I said, I wish Sarah was here with us, because she's
here.
She's
She's here watching. She's right here with us. We just can't see her.
I know.
And you girls can all come back. We'll set another time and have when Sarah's ready. You guys can come back anytime. So I know we've got I think 13 minutes left. Oh, 13.
Yeah.
That's my lucky number.
But
mine too.
How can people reach out to you? Because I think you're just wonderful what you're doing. And so how can they reach out to you?
They can reach us through our Facebook page, which is Paranormal Sisterhood. And it's our little icon is a Scottish thistle. And our banner is the four sisters standing together, arm in arm. But Facebook is going to be the easiest way to reach us, through the message system there. And we're creating some other things. We're getting some ideas for, our TikTok page, Instagram. We just haven't gone that far with it yet. But that's the best way for people to reach out to us.
At least there's 4 of you. Maybe you can do it. I'm trying to do all of it, and I'm pulling my hair out, because I'm how do people do this? All of these things and just have a life. It's I can't do it all. So maybe you can all divvy it up. Because it's really not easy to do it all. Sarah is really amazing at doing that too, though.
She is.
It seems like she's really good at that. So I'm always saying, how are you doing all this? So I'm watching what you guys are doing. Very good.
Yeah.
We don't overthink it.
It's so funny when Sylvia says, I don't really know my part, I'm like, you are totally our voice of reason for everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. You are the most reasonable person. Sandy is our white lighter. She is our ray of sunshine. I told her the other day, she went out on Tommy's boat, and I said, hey, I want dolphins. Send me dolphins. And she sent us the most amazing porpoises, dolphins. It's like she just finds this stuff. She's just amazing. So
was she out there with you?
She makes us laugh. Huh?
Oh, was she with you on the boat?
No, Sandy was out on the boat with Tommy, and I told her, I said, just bring us dolphins, bring us back some dolphins. And so she sent these great videos of dolphins. I'm like,
She sent us dolphins.
Yeah, I'm like, only Sandy she is definitely our white lighter. She brings fun and levity. We celebrated her birthday last week, and it was a hoot. We, did the whole, it was great.
That was great.
And you asked what we like to do. We like to go thrifting like every
Yeah.
other woman in the world. And,
We like lunches.
and we like lunches, and we love investigating, and we really love people, and we want to be able to be that for people, be there for people. So.
Well, I think you are. And so do you see only people in your area, or would you be able to go to people like because all of you have a lot of abilities, so you might be able to do phone work too, kind of like I do, but together.
Yeah, that's a thought.
I think that would
work. We travel when we can. Yeah, we travel together when we can.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, so we do fun things,
Yeah. So let's just say to people, like, with everything that they've said tonight, then they basically can tune in to the properties pretty much. Even like with me, like, it took me a long time to figure how to do it, but I don't have to go to people anymore. I can just do it. I can see where, what's happening. So you guys actually could literally probably do the same, or no matter what, you could pray for them.
Oh, yes.
And you could to give them advice. So if it's people coming from and what to do, how to do it.
Right.
So I would suggest for people to actually call you guys too, or reach out if, even if you're not in their area,
right.
No matter where you are in the world, people could get help. And you can call me too. I don't mean to say not to call me, but, but I mean, you got 4 sisters here. You got 1, 2, 3. I'm number 4. I'm filling in the space for Sarah.
Yeah.
But there's 4 of you with 4 abilities, 4 different great things you can bring to helping others. So I would suggest people do reach out to you and send in when you could help them. That way
we've done things over the phone.
Okay, good. Yeah. Good, because I think that's it's important to be able to do that, just in case you can't be everywhere.
Exactly, because we can't be everywhere at once, and like with Sylvia working now, it's going to kind of preclude her from a lot of travel. Sandy's always gone. I travel quite a bit myself, and but that's a great idea. See, this is why we need sisters, Mercedes.
Yeah, and I'm good with the brothers too. I'm good with the men too. I do understand that women do need to help each other. But honestly, a lot of men are getting really put down lately. And so I have sons. And so I will say that I'm for the brotherhoods too. I'm really for, we're all supposed to help each other. And, but I do believe I never had any sisters. So this is awesome to see actual sisters that are so close together. I think it's really neat. And that you all have such amazing abilities.
Sandy, I think that message is for you. Sarah's saying highlighter.
Highlighter.
Well, she messed up. She was trying to say she was our white lighter, and she called Sandy her highlighter. She said she's her highlighter.
Well,
I'll take it.
Before we end, can y'all tell me what possibly was? Oh no, I'm going to skip that question. Okay, could you each describe to me the feelings that you get when you actually, I know we kind of touched on this, but when you get those messages, or when you actually clear a place, what is that feeling like to you that you actually, when you accomplish that?
Accomplishment. Golly, fullness, wholeness, a healthy, done. I mean, I just have all kinds of things, especially Sicily Island, accomplishment.
And for me, I'm just going to say it like this. It feels holy to me.
Yeah.
It feels right.
Safer.
Truth. Yeah.
I mean,
feels like we've found truth, and we've helped.
Yes, truth. Yes. Not worry about anything.
I've only been on the one investigation with them. And there were so there was some activity in the house. But what the family at that investigation needed more than anything else was lifting up and encouragement and prayer. And we basically had an old-fashioned prayer meeting. It was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Something I did not expect. And when I left, the feeling that I had on that investigation was a closeness to God. That
Mm,
was the feeling that I had.
that's wonderful. Yeah, that's see, I think that's more than anything is what we can do to help others, but also like how we're connected to God. And if anything, that's my drive, like why I'm even doing this. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this for you guys, for you sharing what that is to you, because that's what people need. People need to know this. People need to know that there is something beyond us, and even something beyond that scary stuff, because I know we had scary stuff,
Yeah.
but the only thing that took it away was faith. faith
Faith.
faith
Yeah.
in
Well,
God. So
Mercedes,
you know that God
I want
took
to
it away.
ask you,
Yeah,
Mercedes,
so huh?
did you have a cleanser come in? Did you have a,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We didn't have just one. We had, well, me and Joe, we could do, because I get the messages. So we did the crystals. In fact, in the documentary, I have all the evidence as I filmed what we did through the years. I filmed everything. Kind of like whoever does the filming here.
mhm.
I always have my camera. So I have parts of me in this thing where we're doing the four corners, where we put the stones, and then we had shaman, we had medicine and medicine women, we had Cherokee medicine, we had all kinds. We have Ho'oponopono, amazing. We had amazing people helping us, but it was not enough. It needed to have some more to it. It needed those special prayers, and I can't specify it enough. Maybe that's not on somebody else's property, and maybe some of our property was fine for some times, but it took special prayers, and definitely Jesus and God and all that, instead of us just, we kind of sidetracked around so many different things. There were so many things that worked, but the one thing that got rid of the yucky that was holding on to the stuff here, it needed what Bill Bean brought. And that's what I took on learning. So I really wasn't about the Bible. I was born that way, but I kind of drifted off, and I was more new age, and I was all crystals, and I was like, if you watch videos of me in the past, I actually love that me. But she's like, oh, the spider cobwebs, and the crystals, and I'm like, and I'm looking at myself like, that's so great. I love that part of me, but that wasn't enough. you know so
Yeah.
I had to learn the discipline of how to really, like, say those prayers and have that faith.
Yes.
I needed faith, a different kind of faith.
Walking in
So,
it every day,
It's
yeah,
strange.
speaking it.
It's strange, Mercedes. I have 5 things that I believe. I believe we need to declare what we want, decree
yeah,
what we want, believe it, receive it, and agree that it's going to happen. And I
yeah,
think that to me is the essence in the heart of prayer. And I love that. And there's, this is why Paranormal Sisterhood, a spiritual journey, because we all started out, you know, long time ago with different thoughts and different things. And
yeah,
as we grow and as we move forward, there are other things that are that we become enlightened to. So
yeah. You know what I've learned this last year? I feel like I went full circle, because now I'm like, it's all of it.
all
It's
of it.
everything.
You're
I don't have to give up my herbs and my crystals. I don't
all
have to give up my belief that Blessed Mother Earth and Father Sky.
nope.
It's all one, I believe.
All hand in hand.
It
Yes.
is. It
But
is.
I do believe that the dark side is out there, and
Yes.
we have to protect ourselves, because
Very
they're like, they're real. There's a reason it's called paranormal. It's real out there. And there's people like me that even what happened to, look, our animals died. We had animals die over this stuff. And they're my family.
Golly.
Like one time I'll never forget, we had this, well, it happened many times. And I mentioned this in the documentary, but we're doing a cleansing. And I didn't think to protect the dog. I didn't think to protect my precious dog about saying like, oh, let's just make sure the dog isn't a bubble of light or something, right? So as we start to do a cleansing, because I think it was Joe was feeling heart stuff, like it was coming after, something came after him. And then so we're doing cleansing, because I was in charge of doing all the cleansing of him, because now he's learned to really do it himself. So we've really become a unit. He does his own cleansing now. But right away, as soon as I started to cleanse him, it jumped into my dog. And my dog, for the first time ever in my life, this was Ellie. And Ellie had a seizure just instantly. And I'd never seen a dog have a seizure. So I grabbed the salt, and she was just like, I thought she was going to die right there. That's not the only one. But I wasn't understanding what was happening or how to, like, we just did cleansing. We threw the salt on her. We blessed the salt. And, it wasn't long after that she passed, but it was instantly, it jumped out of him and onto our dog. And so we went from one like fear to another fear. But when you constantly live that way, so like the people that you're talking about, like that you're helping, I mean, look, I feel like I just relived it right then. I don't know if y'all noticed that, but I was like living that right then. So, but think about that anxiety after anxiety after anxiety after anxiety. And it messes with your system, and people
Can't imagine.
And they get upset. People are upset with each other. So, living in a chaos like that is we need people like you.
Well, and learning to protect, and not just protect, look to small things, even your plants, even your garden.
Yes.
To protect, and that's part of that. So
yeah. Wow. And I love blessing all the animals and the trees and plants. So I love what you said. Well, you know what? I think we're gonna have to go too. I think the show is over. Well, I thank you so much, all for being here.
Thank you. And
is there anything you'd like to say before you? I mean, you could say whatever you want before we end, or however you want. And I'd like for you to share some thoughts or whatever, and then we'll end the show.
Well, we can all teach these people out here how to cleanse their stuff, and we wouldn't have so much to do. we could go and play in the cemeteries or haunted houses.
That's so true.
That's so true. Yes.
So we can have time for us.
Learn to do it yourself. Okay.
Right. We just thank you and appreciate you so much. And we just love you, and you're a bright light in this world. And I tell you that every time I see you. So.
Thank you all.
Very nice.
Thank you. And I appreciate you. And we ask for prayers and light and love to go to everybody that's listening to this show tonight, and from whenever time you may listen to it in the future. We just sending out light and love to everybody, and sending out light and love to Sarah.
Yes.
And all of you, the hope that you all have good, peaceful, restful sleeps tonight, sleeping. And I look forward to having you back again on another show in the future with Sarah. And thank you so much for sharing everything that you did. And thank you for all that you do for people.
Thank you.
And spirits.
And spirit.
Right. Thank you to Stan and Teresa. Everybody, thank you, Stan. And thank you, Paranormal Sisterhood. And thank you, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
I feel like we're in the Brady or whatever.